In today's video, we're going to be using the Responses API that was just released by OpenAI to create our own AI agent. Now, the Responses API, as you could see from OpenAI, is their new primary way of building AI agents. And it also uses the new Agents SDK to orchestrate a single agent and multi-agent flows. So let's dive straight in. So what we are going to do, as you can see here, we are going to create our own AI agent here using the new Responses API and the new Agents SDK. And I'm going to show you step by step in exactly how we're going to do this. So what we want to do is we want to ask it a question. It uses the agent, and then it could have access to tools such as file search, web search, or maybe something else like Gmail. So in today's example, we're going to go over file search and we're going to go over web search. It will look something like this. So we will create our own agent. We could ask it a prompt based on a file that we upload, and then we could ask it some questions. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Zanya Ramadi and I am a senior DevOps consultant. I work with automation for Fortune 500 companies. My role involves in automating as much as possible in the development and production environments and streamlining the entire pipeline. Some of the companies I've worked with is Royal London Asset Management, Expert Thinking, BP, Octopus Investments, Lloyds of London, and Vodafone. And I have several of the Microsoft certifications around Azure DevOps and Cloud and Terraform, so you are in good hands, do not worry. Okay, before we get right into it, so this is exactly what we're going to do today. We are going to be using Cursor as our IDE. We are going to create a new agent using the Responses API right here. We are going to make sure that Cursor only uses the correct API documentation, and then we will upload the file to the vector database, and then we will test it, work with it, ask it some questions, and then maybe we'll add some web search tools afterwards. So let's dive right in. Okay, I'm going to be using Cursor. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open my project. I've created an empty folder called agent, so I'm just going to open it. Okay, the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure Cursor, when we speak to our agent here on the right, is to only extract the information from the OpenAI documentation. So we're going to create a rule, and in this rule we're going to say I want you to only read the documentation from OpenAI. The Cursor rules will be linked down below in my GitHub, and so you can have access to them. So the first thing we want to do is create a folder called .cursor. Within here we'll create a rules folder, and then I will put in these rules. So for example, here is the Agents SDK rule. Here is another rule, which is the OpenAI Agents SDK Quick Start Guide, and the other rule is a developer quick start. So this is just pretty much a copy and paste from this documentation, right? So you can see the quick start guide. Okay, so now I'm going to go over to my Cursor IDE, and in the chat here on the right, I'm just going to ask it to create me an AI agent using the Agent SDK that searches through my documents and provides an answer based on what I ask. Make a simple UI. Okay, now we're going to prompt the Cursor agent. So we are going to ask it to create me an AI agent using the OpenAI Agents SDK that searches through my documents, which I'll upload to the vector store, and provide answers based on what I ask. Make a simple UI. So I'm going to click send. Okay, so I can see it's creating me some files, which is I'll accept all of these. Okay, so the first thing I am going to do is add my OpenAPI key up here on the right. It's also going to need access to my vector store ID. So the vector store is basically the database where you will upload your file. So let's go and do that right now. So the file that I want to upload is this random file that I've created, and it's about logging a support request. And it has some information. So my name, the time, and I'm going to ask it questions basically based off this file. So let's log in. Once you are logged in, go to the dashboard. On the left-hand side, click on storage. We're going to go to vector stores. We're going to create a new vector store. I'm just going to call this test. Okay, the vector store is created. This is the ID you need. But just before we get the ID, let's upload the file. I'm going to upload that file in here, click attach. I'm going to copy this ID. You are done there. Let's go back to Cursor and let's plug in the ID here. Okay. Now I can see it's already made a mistake. So this is called example. It should be called just .env. Nevertheless, I'm going to ask it to run. So run the app. Okay. Okay, as you can see, it's fixing what I just said it's going to, what the mistake was. It's renaming it from .env.example to .env. So after I run this command, you will see this will get renamed. So click accept, that renamed, the new file was created. So if I just look at the app, so while that's doing whatever it's doing, if we look at the app.py, and we can see we've got a document search assistant right here. And on line number 10, we can see it's using the OpenAPI key and the vector store ID, which is being passed in. And it says document search assistant. Okay, so here we can see it's using a tool, the function tool, which is search documents. And it can search through the vector store for the documents related to the query. And it's passing some argument, which is the search query to find the relevant documents. Okay, this is good. This is what I want. And it creates the document agent. So it tells it specifically what to do. So when you receive a query, use the search documents tool to find the relevant information to the user's vector store. Analyze the search query thoroughly, provide a clear and concise answer. If you do not find the relevant information, honestly state that you don't know. And always cite specific documents that you reference in your answers. Okay, this is good. Okay, and I'm going to continue accepting this. So I can see, if we go back here, so what it's done, it's created a tool called the file search. And that is the file search tool. Okay, now let's run. Okay, so the app should be running now. We've got the document search assistant. And let's ask it a question. So what is the time? Now in the documentation, I put the time as 10:30. Let's see if it gets it correct. Great, as we can see, it says the time mentioned is 10:30 a.m. Let's check the documentation. So in the documentation, the time is 10:30 a.m. So let's ask it what the company help desk email address is. I just asked it what the help desk email address is, and it gave me back the correct answer. The help desk email address is companyhelpdesk@company.com. That is great. That is exactly what you wanted. So we can see it's gone to the documentation. It's given back all the information that we've asked for. Let's ask it what the current time in London is. It should not be able to answer this question. So what is the current time in London? Fantastic. So I couldn't find the current time in London in the documents provided. At the moment, our agent only has one tool, which is the file search. Now let's add another tool, web search, where it could go out and tell us the current time. So let's go back to Cursor. Let's create a new chat and say, add the web search tool. Great, we can see here in the agent.py file is added a new tool called web search, which is great. Now it's going to rerun it. Okay, let's go back. Let's refresh this. Okay, so let's ask you a question now. What is the current time in London? And it's giving me the current time in London is March the 22nd at 9:48 a.m. That is great. That is fantastic. So now we've got two tools in here, and that is great. Okay, so going back to our original plan, so we used Cursor to implement this. We added the agent response API and connected a database where we uploaded the file in the document store. Then we tested that and that all worked fine. And then we also added the web search tool, which we asked it, what is the current time in London? Okay, that's it for the end of this video. Guys, I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe to this channel and give it a like. And if you have anything extra that you want me to create a video on, please let me know.